It is Super Bowl Sunday on Face the State and the eve of the State of the Union. Will Connecticut Democrats support President Trump or attempt to drive him from office? We'll ask two members of Congress representing our state in Washington, John Larson and Jahana Hayes. Plus, we'll get an update on what they're doing at the nation's capital. Plus, the legendary UConn coach Jim Calhoun is here. How he and Rona Free are transforming the University of St. Joseph. Our flashback, 20 years ago, this Super Bowl Sunday, the talk was about building this stadium in downtown Hartford for the Patriots. But what was owner Bob Kraft really thinking? We'll look back. It's all straight ahead this Sunday morning, February 3rd, 2019.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning, everyone. It's 8:30. Thanks for joining us for Face the State on this Sunday. I'm Dennis House. We have two members of Congress who are representing Connecticut in Washington with us today. And the first is Congressman John Larson. We thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here, Dennis.
And happy belated New Year to you.
Happy belated New Year's to you as well.
So you're
and
big
go Patriots.
Well, we'll talk about that a little bit later in the program. Some like the Patriots, some do not. So Connecticut's kind of a split place here with Giants and Jets fans as well. But
Red Sox and Yankees, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We thank you for weighing in. Tell us about your big Social Security move this week, because you've tried this before and it didn't work. But this year you're more confident.
Well, this is the first time in 8 years that we've been back in the majority, and you're going to hear from Jahana Hayes later. It's the enthusiasm and the energy of the freshman class that's coming in here, but also the fact that we haven't touched Social Security in more than 50 years, as Nancy Altman says, from Social Security Works. And also the last time we did anything meaningful, Tip O'Neill was Speaker, Ronald Reagan was President. We think it's long overdue, not for us just to preserve Social Security, but to enhance its benefits. Dennis, 3 million women live in poverty who are on Social Security in this country. 2 million men. It's simply unacceptable in a nation like ours. So what we've proposed is to make sure that no one can retire into poverty, to make sure that we enhance the program, 2% across the board. Nobody's getting rich on this. But also, as the AARP has called for, a COLA that makes sure that your actual expenses that you're incurring as a senior are matched. And it's what the actuaries call sustainably solvent. That means solvent beyond 75 years, which is actually a requirement in law.
You know, there are some critics who say that Social Security is broken right now and heading toward disaster if it's not fixed. Is that accurate, and what exactly would happen?
No, it's not broken. But what happens if you don't fix it, if you've neglected it for 50 years, if the last time you did something was in '83, Social Security is an insurance premium. I say this to people all the time. And the last time we touched it was 1983. Have any of your insurance premiums gone up since 1983? Of course they have. And so what we need to do in order to make this solvent into the next century is to make sure that we're making minor adjustments. So we adjust the contribution by 1%, but phase it in over 25 years. So it's a de minimis amount of money. If you're making $50,000 a year, it would cost you 50 cents a week to make sure that your pension, your disability program, your spousal and dependent children's insurance is intact. That's what it is. It's insurance.
The State of the Union, as you know, is coming up, delayed because of the government shutdown. How do we avoid another shutdown? The president's made a threat that by the middle of February, if there's no deal for border security, he'll shut it down again.
Well, they have a working group currently, and I think it's all of our hopes that we can be there. Listen, everybody cares deeply about border security. We want to make sure that it's there to keep the bad guys and the bad actors out of there. But you got to do it intelligently. Will Hurd, a Republican who has the longest, I think, over 800,000 miles of border, is saying, listen, you know, it just doesn't make sense to go in there myopically with some metaphoric notion that a wall somehow is going to be the solution. But let's get together and let's make sure that whether it's electronic surveillance, whether it's what Israel does along its borders, but most importantly, the manpower and the intelligence, and then how about sitting down and make sure that Dreamers and DACA and fact, comprehensive immigration is taken care of. That would be great.
The president says it's a national emergency at the border right now. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't think it's a national emergency. It's a national concern, though. And the president is right to talk about that. And it's also national concern of border security. But it's not a national emergency and crisis. He may end up doing it. That may end up be a face saver for him. But my guess is that the group that's working on it, Nita Lowy, who is our lead appropriator, came out of the meeting yesterday, very encouraged by what's going on. I think members of Congress generally want to have a solution, just like we need a solution in Social Security.
There are some of your colleagues who say, one from Texas who's right now calling for the impeachment of President Trump. Where do you stand on that? Do you think that Democrats should move that forward?
I think we have to let Bob Mueller do his job. Everybody's entitled to due process, and especially in Congress. We have several committees that have oversight responsibility that are going to be looking at this. But Bob Mueller right now, I think, has more integrity, and because of the way that he's conducted himself in this investigation, I think it's incumbent upon members of Congress to wait until Mr. Mueller has done his job, protect him in his job, to make sure that the president or his people who are working with him don't try to prevent Mueller from releasing his report. And that, I think, you'll see united Congress on as well.
You seem much more relaxed and happy since we had you on here last time, and that's because you're now in the majority. How does that benefit Connecticut to have you now back in the majority?
Well, I think it benefits us across the board when Rosa DeLauro is a chair on appropriations, and Joe Courtney, who is today down in Groton, is got in charge of sea and land on the Armed Services Committee. Jim Hines has a different position. And we have a star in our midst in terms of Johanna Hayes, who's come in with this freshman class that has major enthusiasm and energy and a will to change the system. So that's why we're excited. That's why I'm happy, and I'm glad to be in a position to help out seniors on Social Security and citizens in Connecticut on taxes, because I serve on the tax committee as well, and the SALT tax really needs to be repealed. But that's a
Well, you did a great job promoting our next segment with Congresswoman Johanna Hayes. We thank you very much for coming on the program today, Congressman.
My pleasure,
John Larson. Also ahead today, we have legendary UConn coach, Hall of Famer Jim Calhoun and Rona Free, and how they have transformed a local university called the University of St. Joseph. We welcome you to watch past editions of Face the State on our app and on our YouTube channel. We also have a great flashback coming up about the Patriots.